This is Amud Yomi Gemara Berachos Daf Menvav Amud Aleph. We're holding at the top line of Menvav Amud Aleph, in the middle of discussing many of the halachas of Berachos HaMazon. Says the Gemara, Rav Zira Chalash. Rav Zira was sick. Ol Gabe Rav Avua. Rav Avua came to visit Rav Zira Kabul Ali, and he accepted upon himself the following neder. I mitvach ketina charich shakei. If the small man with the singed thighs, literally referring, of course, to Rav Zera, is mitbach, he recovers. Avinu Yamatayv the Rabbanon says, Rav Avu, I'm going to make a yanta for the Rabbanon. Baruch Hashem, itbach, Rav Zera recovers. Avitzudas l'kul Rabbanon, he made a suda. When he came to start the Suda, Amalei Rav Zera, Rav Avu said to Rav Zera, Lishan ma Rav Zera, the Suda's for you. Start the meal by saying Hamaitzi and breaking the bread. Amalei Rav Zera said, Love Lamar Lahad Rav Yechon Damar, do not hold the Rav Yechon who says, Balabayis Baitseya. Shari Lahu Rav Avu agreed. Rav Avu was the Balabayis, he was making the party, and he started the meal. He made the bracha and he cut the bread. Came out to the Brucha, and they came to Berachos HaMazon. Amrle, Rav said to Rav Zera, Nachamol, Nevarech lan Mar, Rav Zera again. This party is in your honor. Please bench. Amrle, Rav Zera responded, Love of Lamar lahad Rav Huna Dimin Bavel Damar. That which Rav Huna of Bavel who said by Tzia Mevarech. The Baitseya is one that benches. So you, Rav Avua, you're a Baitseya. You should be the one that says Berachos HaMazon. End of story. Explains the Gemara. What was Rav Avua thinking when Rav Avua told Rav Zera to break bread the first time? When Rav Avua told Rav Zera to bench, what exactly is going on? So 10 lines down, the first word in line is above El, says the Gemara, Viu command Svirle. What did Rav Avua hold? Rav Avua held, Ki ha damar Rav Yechon v'shem Rav Shimon Yochai, Balabayis Baitseya, V'oyrech Mevarich. So Rav Avua, even though he agreed that the Baal Bayis was Baitseya, which was himself, he held, like was said in the name of Rashbi, that the Oireach, the guest, is the one that should bench. Baal Bayis Baitseya explains the Gemara, why is the Baal Bayis being Baitseya? Because he who was Baitseya is the one that gives out the bread. And we want the bread to be given out Ba'ayin Yafa. So the Baal Bayis, who has the free reign to the bread, he is the one that should be he that breaks the bread. Why is the Eirech the one that is benching Kidei Shevarech Balabayis, so he can give a bracha to the Balabayis? Says the Gemara, my Mevarich, what is this bracha that the Eirech gives to the Balabayis? And everyone can pay attention to the lashon of the Gemara. About 12 lines down, the first one in line is Yiratzain, and we'll see different benchers had different nuschai. Says the Gemara, Yehi Ratzain, it should be the will of a Kaddish Baruch Hu Shleivash Balabayis Balamazeh. The Baal Bayis, again, this is the guest saying a tefillah on behalf of the Baal Bayis. The Baal Bayis should not be embarrassed in this world like Kalem, and he should not be humiliated like the Maba. The Rebbe Ma'aseh Dvarim. And Rebbe added in an extra tefillah of Yitzchak Ba'id V'chodechasav. Al Baal Bayis should be very successful in all his possessions. V'yinochasav and his nechasav v'nochaseinu in our possession, Maslachim and Krovim the year, should be successful and close to the city. V'al Yishlei Satan, the Satan should not rule over him. Lo Ma'aseh Yadav, Lo Ma'aseh Yadeinu. His work nor our work. V'al Yizdaker, Lo Lefanav, they should not appear. Lo Lefanav, Lo Lefaneinu, before him, nor before us. What should not appear? Shom Devar, Hirur Chet, even the thought of an Avera. Hirur Chet, V'Avera, V'Avain, Me'ata, V'Ad Elan, the beautiful tefillah that the Ireach that he was benching says on behalf of the Balabayis. We continue with the two dots, about 10 lines from the wide lines. Mevavam and Aleph says the Gemara at Heichad Berachos Hazimun. Until where does the Berachos Hazimun go until? And we'll see exactly what this means. The Baruch Shechalnu Mishalai. Everyone responds, Baruch Shechalnu Mishalai Tzvachayinu. And then he says, Baruch Shechalnu Mishalai Tzvachayinu. So says the Gemara, Rav Nachman Amar An Nevarich. Until Nevarich. Rav Sheshes Amar Ad Hazan. So Rav Nachman says it goes until Nevarich. And Rav Sheshes says, it goes Ad Hazan. And what this means is that this is the first bracha of Berachos Hamazon, and Rav Shesha says no, it goes with the Berachos Haaretz. It does not conclude with Hazan, but rather, and it goes all the way, until the Rav Hazan. And we're going to see in the Gemara exactly what this means. Because says the Gemara, Nema Ketanai, what is this machlekes Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes? What is that the impetus of saying the Berachos Hazimon goes until Hazan, goes until An-Nevarech? Before we go there, let's just look at one Rashi for a moment. Rashi, 6 lines into the narrow line, says, Arechan Berachos Hazimon, she'etzrichan liyos shleisha, that you need 3 people for. Ukshein shnayim lo ya'amruha. And when there's 2 people, you don't say that part of the benching. So says the Gemara, let's say this machlekes Tanoim, this machlekes between Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes. The Tani Chad, one bracha says Berachos Hamazon shleim u'shleisha. Berachos Hamazon is 2 or 3 brachas. Tani idach shleisha v'arba. And another brisa says that Berachos Hamazon is 3 or 4. So we have 2 different brises discussing how many brachas are there within the berach. Excuse me. How many brachas are there within benching? Is it 2 or 3 or 3 or 4? So says the Gemara. Let's explain. Savrua, they thought everyone holds Ha'toiva meitav lav deraisa. It's not debatable. The final bracha after V'nei Yerushalayim, B'nei Berachos Yerushalayim, Amen. The next bracha of Ha'toiva meitav is not deraisa. My lab alchemically. So what is the machlekes of these braysos? Whether it's 2 or 3 or 3 or 4? Says the Gemara, Mandam Rishayim Shleisha. According to Mandam, it says it's 2 or 3 brachas. Kosavar Hadazan holds that the Zimun goes until the end of Hazan, and therefore when there's no Zimun, you do not say this bracha. And therefore your maximum benching either as 3 brachas, till B'nei Berachos Yerushalayim Amen, with a Zimun, whereas when you don't have the Zimun, you end by Hazan. And therefore, when there's no Zimun, you can have the extra bracha. Says the Gemara, that is not the machlekes. Rav Nachman Taras to me, Rav Sheshes Taras to me, and explains the Gemara at the very end of the narrow lines. Rav Nachman Taras to me, everyone agrees that Zimun goes until An Nevarich. It's very good because Zimun goes until Nevarich. Then we have a machlekes whether that if there's a Zimun, you say An Nevarich, and then you say the regular benching, which is going to be 4 brachas. If not, you're going to say 3. On that brisa that says benching is 2 or 3 is a different story. Is the bracha, the benching of workers. When a worker, a day laborer, an hour worker, he has to bench as quickly as possible. He begins with Hazan, and he includes the 3rd bracha with the 2nd bracha in order to make this only 2 brachas. That is what the when you have payalim, that's what that brisa is going to mean. That's how Rav Nachman is going to explain. Rav Sheshes Mitaras Tamei. Rav Sheshes explains in the 3rd wide line. To Kuli Amad Azan, everyone agrees that the Zimun goes until Azan. Mandamer Shayim was Shalosh, now it's good Shaper. Mandamer Shalosh Shaper, what is healed? Ksavar Toiva Meitiv Daraisa. Meaning, the original Anacha that everyone agrees that Toiva Meitiv is not Daraisa, Rav Sheshes will argue with that premise. And now says the Gemara Omer Rav Yosef, says Rav Yosef, really? You telling me that Atayva Meitiv might or might not be Daraisa? Teida Atayva Meitiv Lav Daraisa. Number 1, Shar Pilim might gonna say. Pilim don't say it. Number 2, Amrizah Bar Shmuel Bar Martim Mishay Darav Teida Atayva Meitiv Lav Daraisa. Why? Shari Pasech Baba Baruch begins with Baruch Veinu Chaysim Baruch. Keditanya. As we learned in a Brisa, we're gonna stop over here, as this Brisa is gonna take us well into tomorrow's Amid, but we're gonna pick it up discussing proofs that Atayva Meitiv is indeed not a din de'araisa.